So today we're going to check out Preview on a Mac. One of my favorite secret weapons, an application that most people already have on their computer. It's completely free. They don't really know how to use it. And it can do a lot of really cool things that I use in live production. Ability to cut out a lower third and create a transparency or remove someone from the background, overlay drawings from my iPad, and so much more. So let's get into it. And by the way, I am using the macro pack down here. So now you should be able to see my screen as well as a top-down shot and the Atem software I have running on another computer as well. So I'm gonna open up the Atem software here. Let's go ahead and just find something cool. We'll start with the lower third, right? So I'm gonna build a custom lower third. I'm gonna go up here, I'm just gonna type in lower thirds, black and orange, okay? We're gonna go through a lot of different steps here. That could look cool. We're gonna go ahead and grab this guy. Right off the back, I can see it is 1280 by 720, that is fine. That is going to scale proportionally to 1920 by 1080, as well as 4K, etc. So I can go ahead and do a couple different things. I can open this in a new tab, right? There's the image. I can drag and drop this onto my desktop. I could two-finger click and click Save Image As, etc. Has a black background, right? So if I just drop this into my Atem software right now, let's see here. I just drop this in, and I set it to my Media Player 1. And I try to just put this over top of what I'm doing right now. We'll use key 1. Let's go ahead and set it up. So upstream key 1, Luma key, and see we're already going to get into a problem right here with Media Player 1 key. And if I go try to make this on air, it doesn't work, right? It just covers up my face exactly. So what we need is a transparency. So really easy, like this is what I'm excited about. It's so easy to do this. All right, so now that we have this up in preview, we are going to click this little edit icon right here. I'm going to go to the magic wand tool, and I'm just going to highlight the black and hit backspace. And yes, I want to convert it to a PNG. Hit enter. Now it's a PNG. And so you can see I can hit Command S, I can save it. It is now a PNG. All right, if I go to my Atem software and I open this guy up, notice that it's transparent now. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and replace this into Media Player 3 right here. So notice it doesn't look any different on the Atem software. However, all right, pre-multiplied key with the transparency, and I hit on air, and now it's showing up on top of us. This lower third right here, it's a little big for what I want. So there's a couple things I can do with that. I can physically make it smaller, or I can go over here to my flying key. You can click on flying key, make it smaller, and I can set the position of it. So yeah, let's say I want it, I can make it a little bit smaller here, just like that. Okay, so, and I'm gonna go down a little bit with it. There is start of my lower third. Obviously it's blank right now, so let's put some stuff in it. And let's open this lower third back up, and let's put some text on it. So, real easy, I can just add my name, right? So I can add some text, we can go white, and I could say Brandon Peltz, right? Now that's not gonna look as good. Let's go ahead and make the text color black. All right, let's go ahead and make it bigger, maybe around, what, 80? We can change the font if we want to, but for right now, we can stick with this. Can make it italic, just so it's bending with it, justified. All right, and get smaller with it. Go back to 40. Okay, there is a quick and dirty lower third. So now, again, hit Command S to save it, hop over to my Atem software, drag and drop this right back on top. There it is. And I can turn my upstream key on. There's Brandon Peltz. It's a little small, right? Again, we can go ahead and make that bigger. Now, the way I would normally transition this on screen, right? You would never see any of this being done. So I have my key here, and I could just hit the auto button, right? And I could fade it on, fade it off screen, just like that. So that's how you make a custom lower third nice and fast using Preview and get it into your Atem so you can use it in your live production. All right, let's get that off screen. Now let's go ahead and take a look at another way to use Preview, which instead of making lower thirds, let's go ahead and cut out a product and then have it show up right about here. So pull up my Atem software again. Let's go ahead to Google Chrome. Let's pull up a product. Let's see. We want to do a Stream Deck. Okay, we want a Stream Deck in our shot. So I'm going to look up a Stream Deck here, and I'm going to go to Images. We're going to find a nice 3D image here. We can use this guy. So I'm going to go ahead and drag that to the desktop. All right, so notice this one also came in as a JPEG. That's fine. Open that guy up. Use the same idea. So I'm going to pick the magic wand tool over here, highlight the white area. Notice it's highlighting it all in red. Hit the backspace. Yes, I want to convert it to a PNG. And now we have it here. All right, I'm going to hit save. And I'm going to go pull up my Atem software, and I'm going to drop this as one of the items in my Atem software. And I'm going to replace that with Media Player 1. Now there are ways to set up buttons in Companion so that you can switch on your Stream Deck which assets are in Media Player 1 or 2 to make this really fast for you when you're doing a live show. But for now, I'm just going to do it all on the computer so you can see. If I bring that on air, notice it is down here. So let's go ahead. And again, this is all about prep. We can make a macro that does this. I want it to be right about here. Okay, I'm going to hit auto. It's going to go off screen. Notice my key 1 is selected, so that's in preview. So now, when I'm ready, I can go ahead and I can pull up my main shot here. And when I'm ready, I can say, hey, we're going to talk about a Stream Deck. And I can pull that guy up, and it's right here. This is the Stream Deck we are talking about, right? It's not actually here in my space. It's just up on screen. And then when I'm done talking about it, I can put it away. Quick and easy. Get something that looks professional. Doesn't that look a lot better than if I just took the JPEG itself? This is what we're talking about. Already cutting off part of my face. It doesn't look as clean or nice in the image, right? But if I want to go ahead and swap this guy out, now I have the clean and cut up version, and it's not taking up as much space in my shot, right? I'm nice and close with the product. That is a great way to use Preview to cut out products. I use that in my editing software as well, the ability to cut out a product and drop it in as an overlay, just as you saw there, but do it in post instead of live. Again, all options that I use Preview for. Another way we're going to look at using Preview is turning a background into a foreground. What we're going to do is, instead of cutting out a product or a lower third, we're going to cut out a specific shape in an image, and then we're going to put my camera angle in that shape. Let's get to it. So I'm going to pull up my Atem software, go over to a web browser, and just type in 1920 by 1080. This is going to pull up a bunch of different types of backgrounds. Again, visually very interesting. I can blow these up. I can see right here 1920 by 1080. If I open this in a new tab, I get the full 1920 by 1080 image. This is what I'm going to drag and drop onto my desktop here. Let's go ahead and find a couple other ones. That's not bad right there. Again, all these are just free online. So now that I have them, we're going to start with this guy right here. Pretty simple. What I'm going to do is, see this white outline? I'm going to put my camera angle right there. Or I can swap it with anything, really. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut that out. So I'm going to cut out up there. Yes, convert it. Cut out right here. Great. And I'm going to cut out the white as well. Maybe I'll go even a step further and cut out this. All right, good enough. Okay, so there is our image. And let's go ahead and drop that into the Atem software here. Okay, I'm going to drop this image right up here. Now, we're going to treat this one a little bit differently, okay? There's a couple different ways we now can go about this, right? We have our asset in Media Player 1. We do want to do a Luma key, but we can use an upstream key, or we could use the super source in order to do what we're looking for. First thing I want to do, make sure my upstream key is not a flying key, because this is a full 1920 by 1080 image. I can turn upstream key 1 on, and it should overlay right on top. Now, notice that I would have to bend down to be in the shot over here, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to put me in upstream key number 2 as a DVE, okay? And so I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to put upstream key 2 This one's going to be a DVE. I want this to be my main camera, this shot right here. I'm going to take the border off because I don't care about that. And we're going to set upstream key 2 on air. All right, here's my box. It is square. You're not going to get around it being square. But obviously, we know that our graphic is circular. So what you're going to see through this graphic when we overlay the key on top, here we go. Now, obviously, this is not what we wanted. Why? Because I chose to put the background in upstream key 1 and my camera in upstream key 2. The way the layers work in an Atem is 1 is going to be in the back, 2 in front, then 3, then 4. So if I want this image in the transparency of the other one, essentially making the background now a foreground, I need to move the background up. I need to move the layer in front of this square layer. So here's how we're going to do that. Instead of putting the background upstream key 1, I'm going to go up to upstream key 3. And I'm going to do a Luma key from media player 1. I'm going to hit that on air. And now it's in front. So when I turn on my DVE and then my background, and I'm going to move my DVE down a little bit, there it is. This was just to prove a point of exactly how to do a circular, how to cut something out. Now, that's not an example that makes a ton of sense, but it is very creative and visually interesting. And for another idea, we're going to go ahead and do a city shot. So the city that we've chosen is just an image from the internet right here. I want myself up on this billboard in the upper left-hand corner. I'm going to click my markup tool, my magic wand. I'm going to highlight this guy in red right here and hit backspace. Now cut myself out. Notice it has a little bit of a red border, which I'm okay with. And now we're going to put myself up into this space here. So I'm going to hit save, and I'm going to go ahead and drag and drop this guy in, put it into media player 1. Again, I can use my same DVE from the previous setup. So upstream key 2, main cam, DVE there, and let's go ahead and put that on air. All right, I'm going to move that into position. Normally you would want to make macros that do this, right? You want to preset all of this up so you can just trigger it in your preview window. And I'm going to activate the overlay, and pretty close. Let's go ahead and move my face up a little bit, something like that. You guys get the idea. We can fade that together on and off by linking the keys together. Key 2 and key 3 are linked in my preview window now. So when I hit this auto button, both of them are going to come on air. So if I go back to my one shot here, so I'm going to pull that up. We can see here that I'm off camera. Then I could walk into the shot, say, hey everyone, how we doing? We're here in the city of San Diego, California. Let's get into it. Fade, and now I'm right back in for my live stream. So that's a great way to do an intro. It's creative, it's different, and it's just dead simple. Okay, it's not that hard to do, and that's the point of making this video. So that's a creative way to use a background. You can take that same idea and use that with a super source in, cutting out boxes and using the art layer in a super source to make a background, either a background or a foreground, and do the same idea with multiple boxes. Next situation we're going to look at is when someone wants to put a bug or a logo in the bottom left, bottom right, upper corner, whatever it is of the screen. Now you want this bug to stay there for your entire show or only for certain parts of the show. So we're going to decide whether we want it on an upstream key or a downstream key. They just have to do with layers and how many times you have to think about them being on or off. Okay, a downstream key is going to be like the very last thing before your stream exits your switcher, your output. What we're going to do is we're going to pull up my logo here. So we're going to pull up my logo. We're going to duplicate it. And now we are going to cut out just this orange kind of play stream button we have here. So go to markup, hit the rectangle tool, cut that guy out. I'm going to go tools and crop. Blow that guy up. And now I can use the magic wand, select everything that's in black, hit backspace, select the inside black, hit backspace. And if I want to, I can use the rectangle to clean up these other edges here. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. And now I've just isolated the bug. And that was quick. That's like 20 seconds. Okay? So I'm going to hit save on that. And I'll save it to the desktop. So I'm going to drop that in. And I'm going to put it as an upstream key to start. All right, so we're going to go to upstream key, make sure we're set to Luma, pre-multiplied key. Going to hit on air. So there it is, nice and big in the middle of our screen, but that's not where we want it, right? We want it in one of the corners. So I can go over here to where it says flying key. I'll take it off. So where it says flying key, I'm going to activate the flying key. Now when I turn this on, it's going to be small, and somewhere else on screen, I can move it in the X and Y direction. I can make it smaller. And I can just leave it over here. Whoops. Shrink that down a little bit. And I can just leave it over here in the corner. Right? Just like that. So now that bug can stay there in the corner for the entirety of the show. And I'm not going to worry about it. I can just, again, as I do all of my switching, it'll just stay on air as if nothing's happening because I have on air set to just affect the background, not the keyers. Let's say I'm using up all my keyers. I have green screen and other things I want. What's another way I can have this bug stay up on screen? Well, that's with a downstream key. So here's the difference. A downstream key doesn't have the ability to change the size of what you're doing and then position it. You just can put the whole image up on screen. So if I were to use Media Player 1 as a downstream key right now, it's big and I can't change that. But this is where we use preview. All right, so I just go ahead and I make sure here 1920 by 1080, that's what it says right there. So I grab a nice blank image. Okay, and I position where I want this logo. So one thing I love about preview is I can just select the entire bug right here and hit copy, go over here and hit paste. So now I can position this exactly where I want it. I can shrink it down. This is the correct aspect ratio. I can put it down here in the corner, make it a little bit bigger, and that's where I want my bug to live for the entirety of the show, right? And delete all the black out of it. So I'm going to highlight all the black, delete that, yes, convert. Notice, because I do this, it's still in the bottom right corner in its space. The image itself is still 1920 by 1080, but most of the image is see-through, transparent. Go through here, delete this guy as well. Okay. And so I'm going to hit save. I can drag that guy on here. And now I have an image where the bug is in the corner, exactly where it's supposed to be. This is super important when we work with graphics teams and editors and things like that, and we're swapping assets. We tell them, please hand us PNGs that are 1920 by 1080, you know, where the logo is exactly where you want it on screen. That way, we can always adjust it from our end, you know, as the live production team. We have tools like Preview and Photoshop and other things to make edits. But if a client and their graphics team has a specific look that they want, we want to make sure we can reproduce that specific look. So if they hand us assets exactly where they want it on screen, it's very easy for us to drop it in here, go up and hit on air, and now the bug is in the corner. This is using the downstream key. This is using exactly what was given to us, is put exactly up on screen, right? It makes it fast and easy, and we don't have to go through our upstream keys and like adjusting things. If for some reason the client gives us something and it's not quite the right size, it doesn't look quite right, now it's on the production team to go in and change things around. But I really like PNGs transparent, it's see-through, it's not too distracting. If this was just like a box in there, it wouldn't look very good. Now it doesn't look very good. It doesn't look very professional. This is why, and if a client handed me this same asset, I would pull up the asset, go into preview, and just get rid of the black. Like, it's not hard to do it. save it, right? Throw it right back in. It's not going to look any different to your eye in the Atem software, but the second you overlay it and you transition, now that looks a whole lot better. So this is the perks of transparency. This is the perks of PNGs, which is in our world, our favorite file type for any sort of image, just because we have so many options with it. The difference between a PNG and a JPEG is a PNG is going to have an extra layer. That layer, we'll call it the alpha layer. It's going to have transparency data. How see-through is this particular pixel? So when it has RGB values for all these pixels in this 1920 by 1080 or 4K image or whatever you have, it's going to say, the extra layer is going to say this pixel is this much transparent, 100% or 0 or somewhere in between, and so on for the entire image. The Atem software can read this and notice if it's a PNG or not, and it's what's going to be in the key layer. So notice when we're over here in Media Player 1, the fill is the actual image, and the key, that is the alpha layer. That is the transparency data. So it automatically selects it as the key, and then you can tell when you put it up on screen where it's transparent, where it's not. So that is how you can do a bug on screen, put it in any quarter that you want. And next, we're gonna go ahead and look at fixing other people's mistakes, okay? Preview is a great tool for on the fly, being able to fix an incorrect spelling or something like that. So the lower third that we made earlier, here, let's say that there was a spelling error here, and my name actually has an E in it instead of an A. Right? It's actually Brendan instead of Brandon. It is Brandon for everyone wondering, but let's say this was spelled incorrectly and this should be an E. All right, well, we're live on air and we need to change this. So we can call up the graphics team and say, hey, you made a mistake, send us a new file. That's if they're up and ready and at their computers. Usually their job's already done. They already handed off the assets. Someone should have approved this, but it squeezed through and made it past people. So at this point, we're live, and we either have the option to change it or not change it and deal with it later. So as a good production team, we're going to see if we can help the situation. Let's see if we can turn this A into an E. We know that there's an E somewhere else already in the name. Over here in Pelts, there's an E. So we're going to go ahead and steal that E from over there. Because this E is in a really tight spot, all right, so I'm going to duplicate it. Tools, crop. Okay, now, I want to pretty much get rid of the black happening around this. So get rid of that. Get rid of this. Not bad. Square this off a little bit if we can. And we'll square this one off. Not too bad. Let's just go ahead and select that. Copy it. We're back over here to our lower third. I'm going to paste it in. We're looking good. I'm cutting off this R a little bit, right? And I'm cutting off a little bit of the end. So I can make this E a little bit smaller. All right, so I'm gonna go over here. I'm gonna cut off a little bit more there. And cut off a little bit more of the E over here. We'll take that, we'll give that a shot. Not the prettiest thing ever. Like if I need to throw this in right now, I would. If we're live, like, again, 30 seconds, let's go, let's fix it. It's not horrible, it's not perfect. But then again, these are situations where you don't really care how good it is if it's incorrect. If it's incorrect, it's not worth anything. So this is so small, people aren't really going to notice anyway. So we were able to just fix Brendan really fast. We just took the E from Pelts and moved it over here. And so now I can take this image to the desktop as a PNG, go up to my media player, grab my new lower third, throw it in here. We now have, the new and the old. If we wanted to swap between them real quick, we'd have the old version on here, which is actually the correct Brandon spelling. And we're like, crap, we want to switch that A out with an E. We can go over here and just do a quick swap. And no one even really notices that we changed it. It's so subtle, but it makes a big difference. If this was a client and they saw their name misspelled and they're paying for this whole thing, they'd be pissed, right? So being able to make these quick changes, which we've done in shows, in the middle of a show, one of the reasons I use a Mac is I always have an extra laptop, has the run a show on it, right? It has preview on it, it has a bunch of tools that I might need, and it has all the assets of that show on it as well for these reasons. I can grab it and I can airdrop the file I just fixed while we're live in a show to the Mac running the graphics. Put it in the spot. I could, if the Atem is on the network, I could swap it in, and then I could just fix the problem, and whoever the technical director is, whoever's switching the show, if it's not myself, you know, they don't even have to deal with it. They don't have to notice. I can handle the situation as the producer or as the extra set of hands or whatever I am. So that is how you can fix these things. I'm going to put the correct version back on screen. So usually we can steal a letter or a last name or something from other lower thirds if we need to swap it out. If I don't have an E somewhere else in that name, I could probably pull it from a different lower third. That's why copy and paste is so helpful in preview. Being able to do that between different preview files is so helpful. And there's one more trick I want to show you with the Mac and using preview, and specifically the iPad over here, to basically mark up and draw on top of your images. So let me do an example. I'm going to pull up a video here, and in this video we're going to find a spot to stop. We're going to screenshot just like this. I'm going to open it here, and I'm going to hit markup. Now we're going to see a brand new icon over here. This is with continuity. This is how this is working. This is between iPads and Macs on the same iClouds, etc. But I can basically send this to the iPad. All right, and when I do this, it's going to pop up right here on my iPad. So now I can mark this up. All the Apple Pencil iPad features draw on top of this overlay. So let's say I want to outline the video wall over here. Well, I'm drawing on my iPad, but it's showing up on my Mac. I can just take a screenshot on my laptop and it pops up on my iPad for me to draw on it. That's what I really love about being able to do this. And then I have Tech Booth over here, and basically all the cables go up the pillar, all the way across, and back down. I can draw on the iPad here. It's showing up on my laptop screen, and now it's also saved on my laptop. I can go ahead and I could pull that in for later use. There it is. Pull this in, and I can use that whenever I need to reference something. I could bring it in here, and I could reference it, talk about it, etc. Again, I did it previously in the video, but I can pull it back up and reference it because it's an asset on the Mac, not on the iPad. By the way, the great reason to use a DVE over the SuperSource for a lot of this picture-in-picture stuff is because you can blow up a DVE past 100%, way past 100%, and just get really detailed with it. So that's a ×6, and again, I can still move around the image. But we're not here to talk about DVEs, we're here to talk about preview. So hopefully that was a good demonstration of a bunch of different ways to use preview, a free application on the Mac. I use it almost daily, especially in most of my live productions, especially in my editing, to make thumbnails, to cut out objects and put them on screen as I'm talking about them. So definitely look into preview, start using it, use it to make your lower thirds, use it to save your shows, to make your client happy, to impress people, etc. And as this video is getting kind of long, go ahead and hit subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you guys for watching. Go ahead and hit me up in the comments if you like these types of videos, and let me know what other topics you want me to cover. And finally, go check out liveproductionmastery.com. That is the platform that I am on. If you guys want one-on-one time, group teaching, etc., that is the best way to get it. Again, thanks for watching. Have a good one.